What's going on, guys? On today's adventure, me and my son went kayaking out at Santa Fe Lake. It's halfway in between Augusta and Andover. If you've never been out there, you've got to make a trip. It's absolutely fantastic. In today's world, most people know Santa Fe Lake as like a fishing, camping, swimming place to go kayaking, a lot of recreational type of stuff. But Santa Fe Lake wasn't originally created as a recreational lake. There's some pretty interesting history behind it, and we're going to get into it into this video. Now, this video format is going to be a little bit different than what we have been doing, simply because I went over the footage. Guess what? No audio. Kind of sucks. We also didn't catch that many fish, but there's some really cool views and really cool reasons and things to go to this lake, so I definitely want to let you guys in on that. Be sure to hit the like button and consider subscribing if you haven't yet. And huge shout out to that guy that saw me at Santa Fe Lake and said, hey, what's up to me? That's pretty freaking awesome, man. Thank you for that. Let me know who you are down in the comments below if you're watching this video. Let's go ahead and get into it. So Santa Fe Lake's story begins in 1927 when it was constructed by the Atchison and Topeka and Santa Fe Railway. Back then, steam locomotives needed enormous amounts of water to operate. Coal and oil produced the heat, but water inside the boiler created the steam that actually powered those locomotives. And to keep its trains moving across Kansas, the Santa Fe Railway built reservoirs, pumps, pipelines, water towers all along its routes, and this lake was originally part of that system. And that's where its name came from. Santa Fe Lake was named after the railroad that constructed it, not because of the Santa Fe Trail. As steam locomotives were gradually replaced by diesel engines, the railroad no longer needed these massive water systems, and according to Kansas water records, the city of Augusta acquired Santa Fe Lake in 1954. From there, the lake slowly transitioned from railroad infrastructure into a public water source and the recreation area we all recognize today. When Santa Fe Lake is completely full, it covers approximately 255 acres, but the watershed feeding it covers nearly 37 miles, stretching westward all the way to the Jabbar Airport. That means that rain that falls miles away can eventually find its way through Dry Creek and into this lake. Along the way, that water carries soil, nutrients, and debris with it. After nearly a century of runoff, a huge amount of sediment has accumulated on the lake bottom. And I can actually attest to this because that water was extremely muddy and dirty. And Santa Fe Lake is actually surprisingly shallow. There was a lot of spots where me and Rowan stuck our paddles in and we only got down about 2 to 3 feet, and a lot of the spots even out in the middle. Historical state measurements place its average depth at just over 4 feet, with its deepest areas reaching approximately 10 feet. And I bet you if you could find one of those 10-foot spots, you'd probably find all the bass. In a 2010 survey, estimated that the sediment had displaced nearly 30% of the lake's original storage capacity. And according to that study, completely removing that sediment could restore approximately 119 million gallons of storage. That is a ton of sediment. But dredging almost a century's worth of material from a 255-acre lake could be an enormous and expensive project. Although the city has acknowledged the sediment problem, I couldn't find any evidence that Santa Fe Lake was recently drained or completely dredged like I've heard in the past. And with that being said, it brings us to one of the biggest rumors about the lake, quote unquote, the time it was supposedly drained. Now, from all of my research, I didn't find a whole lot on this, but I have heard many people talking about it. Some of the confusion can come from people mixing up Santa Fe Lake with Augusta City Lake. They're two totally separate lakes, and Augusta City Lake was drained for a major dam and spillway work around in 2011 and 2012. But the Santa Fe Lake did experience a major drawdown about a decade later. In 2022, Augusta used siphons to intentionally lower the water level. The purpose was to reduce erosion against the lake's aging dam. At the same time, the city was pumping water from Santa Fe Lake for its municipal water system, while dry conditions limited how quickly the lake could refill. By November of 2022, Augusta reported that it had withdrawn more than 355 million gallons from the lake. That year, the city was removing approximately 1 to 1.3 million gallons every day and expected the yearly total to surpass 400 million gallons. The water became so low and the sediment heavy that it was becoming more difficult for the city to treat. So Santa Fe Lake wasn't simply emptied for dredging or to remove all the fish. What people saw was a combination of intentional drawdown, municipal water withdrawals, and Kansas dry weather. And that municipal water use isn't something from the distant past. El Dorado Lake is currently Augusta's primary water source, but Santa Fe Lake remains part of the city's backup supply. Water can be pumped from here through approximately 4.6-mile-long pipelines that connect with the Augusta's larger raw water system. So even though we now think of this place as a place to kayak, fish, swim, and camp, the lake still serves as an important practical purpose. The other major issues is the dam and the spillway, which date back to the lake's original construction. City reports describe parts of the concrete spillway as severely deteriorated. In some areas, the concrete is eroded enough to expose the rocks underneath. Other sections were reportedly weak enough to crumble by hand. The dam is classified as a high hazard structure, but that phrase can be misleading. It doesn't automatically mean the dam is about to collapse. High hazard describes what could happen if it failed, because people and property are located downstream. Not to mention, I was fishing right on top of the concrete wall this whole time. The structure does have real problems that needs to be addressed, but its classification is about the possible consequences of a failure, not the likelihood of one happening tomorrow. Augusta has been planning a major spillway rehabilitation since 2018, and engineers have considered replacing the original overflow structure with a slightly lower design, which would create more room between the lake surface and the top of the dam. They've also studied a labyrinth-style spillway similar to the one in Augusta City Lake. That design could handle more water during major storms without permanently lowering the normal level of Santa Fe Lake. As of 2026, the major rehabilitation was still moving through engineering, regulatory approval, and funding, so despite some rumors, the complete spillway replacement has not already been finished. Today, Santa Fe Lake is operated on a no-wake lake, making it calmer water and small coves especially well-suited for kayaks and paddleboards. The park now offers fishing, swimming, camping, hiking, mountain biking, and disc golf. Fishing is currently catch and release only. It's a completely different life for a lake originally created to keep steam locomotives moving across Kansas. The trains no longer need it, but the surrounding community still does, and they love it. This place is popping. Santa Fe Lake is now a recreation destination, a wildlife habitat, a backup water supply, and nearly century-old piece of Kansas railroad history. It really is pretty insane to think how much history is hidden beneath a place most people just consider their honey hole or favorite fishing spot. Would you guys like to see me dig more into the history of all these places that we're going to be exploring from now into the future? Or should I just stick with the mostly just fishing and talking like I normally have that you guys have been enjoying so far? Once I finally get these microphone problems sorted out, that is. Let me know down in the comments, because I genuinely like to know if you guys enjoyed the style of video. Either way, I'll see you guys on the next adventure, and make sure you're subscribed with that bell turned on so you don't miss the next upload.